In today's video, I'm going to cover some main tips for military veterans transitioning into civilian jobs and what you need to do to prepare, master the interview process, and ultimately land a job. Let's go. Now, this is part one of a two-part video. I'm going to link to part two at the end of this video, so make sure you stay to the very end. And do me a favor, if you find any value in this video, please hit that like button. It is free and it helps me a ton. It helps the channel a ton and it motivates me to make more videos like this. All right, let's go. Now, my first major tip is you need to understand the civilian job market. Taking steps like what you're doing right now, these are the right steps, so congrats, you're doing the right thing. But it's really important to understand what jobs are good fits for you, what companies might be good fits for you. So you want to take a look at what you did in the military, what your skills, abilities, and backgrounds are, and try to identify roles that would be a really good fit for you. Maybe they're leadership roles, maybe they're production manager or production supervisor jobs. Whatever it is that you did in the military, try to find roles that also make sense given your background, what you did in those roles, and then what you would be needing to do for these organizations. Now, one of the things you can do is you can actually go online and go to different websites, like job websites like Indeed or CareerBuilder or even LinkedIn, and look at some of the opening roles, look at some of the roles that seem to be a good fit, and then identify, okay, do I have these backgrounds? Are these roles that would interest me and I think I'd be well qualified for? Now, one of the keys that I would give you if you go on LinkedIn, try to find people who used to be in the military and were doing similar jobs to you. Look at their jobs while they were in the military, and then what were their jobs right out of the military? So when they transitioned to civilian life, what were their first couple of jobs? That way, if you look at people and go, okay, this person had my background. Now, what are they doing now? Okay, this is what they transitioned to. If you can do that, it's going to help you identify some of the jobs that might be a good fit for you. Where might you find some of those people? Well, if you go on LinkedIn and you do a search at the very top, you can easily see different groups that are available. And there are a ton of military veteran groups that you can join. If you join there, it is going to be a treasure trove of different people you can connect with, talk about experiences, but also see what jobs they had in the military and what they are doing now. That's where you want to start. Now, the next thing that you need to do is you need to translate the military terms and skills into civilian terms. So one of the things that I've noticed when I've been in recruiting and I'm talking to military veterans is they have a tendency to use different acronyms. And I didn't know what those acronyms are. I also didn't know, just from them telling me, okay, here was the role I was in, how it translated to the role they might be interviewing for or seeking when they moved into that first role. Basically, a big part of succeeding early on is just translating those military terms into terms that civilians can understand. You know, you want the recruiter who maybe has never been in the military and has limited exposure to being around people who use those terms to understand your terminology, the impact you have, so they can look at your skills and understand how they translate. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is I want to make sure that you are catering and customizing your resume and cover letter to the jobs you apply for. Now, it is really easy to just make a resume and fire it off to 20 different jobs, but you're actually not doing yourselves any favors. One of the things you can do that can make you more attractive as a candidate is actually customize your resume. So when you're seeing in the job you're applying for, there are different must-haves, different qualifications. You can actually customize your resume to be a really good fit based on that job description. I made this video right here. This isn't a link, but you can go watch this video after, and it's ways you can use ChatGPT to actually customize your resume to match with the job description for that you're applying for. You can also use it to do cover letters. And that's a huge asset. It's something that you can do easily and quickly that's going to increase the probability that you get interviews and ultimately give yourself a chance at getting a job. The reality is, your time in the military gave you a ton of skills and abilities that directly translate to the roles that you're applying for. But if you don't communicate it in a way that the recruiter, the HR person, and the hiring manager understand when you're applying and interviewing for a job, there's going to be a bit of a disconnect. They're not going to understand how your skills and abilities apply to the role unless you use the type of verbiage that they're going to understand. So a big part of it is just translating what you did into terminology that is going to be understandable by the recruiter. The next thing that I would highly recommend is practice for interviewing. You know, getting a new role in the military is going to be very different than getting a new role in the civilian workforce. There's going to be interviewing, there's going to be office politics, there's going to be all kinds of things that you have to contend with that maybe are quite different than what you experienced in the past. But one of the things that I always recommend for anyone, but especially someone who hasn't had to do a ton of interviewing, is practice. I have a playlist on my YouTube channel that is just common interview questions and how to answer them. I highly recommend going to that, just throwing it on and just listening to every video so you can understand what the questions are that are going to be asked, why they're going to be asked, and then how to answer them. And then you can customize that to things that are applicable to you. You can insert your experience. I go through that in my videos, so I suggest watching those to prepare. Now, one of the huge skills that you're absolutely going to need is you're going to need to know how to network. Not just with people who are veterans, although that is absolutely key, but how to network with people who work at employers that you're interested in joining. Which is why I made this video. This video here, this is part 2 in the series. I'm gonna go through 4 more tips that are going to help you in your transition so you can be as successful as possible. So I am done here, but I'll see you over there. Also, thank you for your service.